Ruth never expected a pillow to feel heavier with age, but every morning it did, not because of sleep, but the weight of another foggy day ahead. Then one morning, something changed. A tiny 5-minute habit shifted everything. No pills, no gym, just one new rhythm. In this journey, you'll uncover 5 simple morning habits that helped Ruth feel 20 years younger, starting from the moment she opened her eyes. The first? She didn't even have to leave the bed. 1. The gentle reclaiming, still awake breathing plus gratitude scan. Mornings used to hit Ruth like a wave, loud, fast, and cold. Even before her feet touched the floor, her mind had already leapt into a spiral of appointments, aches, unanswered emails, and the question every widow faces more mornings than she'll admit: what's the point today? She didn't say it out loud. She didn't have to. Her sigh said enough. It was her niece who planted the seed. "Aunt Ruth, your mornings aren't broken. They're just unused." That line stuck. Unused. So Ruth decided to try something she hadn't done in decades: start her mornings slowly. Just breathe while you're still lying down. At first, the idea felt laughably simple, but then again, isn't that where most truths hide? She began with her hand over her heart. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. It was uneven at first. Her brain kept interrupting. What time is it? Did I remember to? But after a week something shifted. The thoughts still came, sure, but so did a stillness between them. And that's when she added the second piece. Gratitude scan. 3 small things, not grand gestures, not Pinterest-worthy platitudes. The way her sheets felt cool but soft. The smell of distant toast from the neighbor's flat. That she didn't have to rush anywhere. These weren't just thoughts. They were little hugs from her own life. For women like Ruth, women who've spent their lives showing up for others, mornings can become a kind of reckoning. There's often no scheduled waiting, no classroom, no carpool, no colleague. So, what wakes you? This practice gave Ruth something quietly powerful: ownership over her own arrival into the day. No alarms, no agendas, just her, alive, aware, worthy. It reminded her that she wasn't just starting another day, she was returning to herself. This isn't just warm fuzzies, it's chemistry. Breathwork in the first minutes of waking helps regulate cortisol spikes, those stress hormones that spike before you even sit up. It grounds your nervous system before your brain starts broadcasting its regular programming. Gratitude, meanwhile, isn't just feel-good fluff. It rewires your mind's filter, what psychologists call the reticular activating system. When you choose to see something good first, your brain starts looking for more good throughout the day. You don't need a study to feel it though. Ruth didn't read about the science until later. She just knew she was waking up softer. I felt silly, until I didn't. Ruth was honest about her resistance. I felt ridiculous, lying there with my hand on my chest, like some kind of yoga guru. She chuckled over coffee with her friend Judy. But then one morning, I noticed something odd. I hadn't clenched my jaw yet. My breath was quiet, and for the first time in a while, I didn't feel like the day was chasing me. That moment stuck. It wasn't dramatic, just undramatic. And that was the point. This wasn't a breakthrough, it was a reset, and it was hers. How to try it yourself, your way. There are no medals for perfection here. Just give it a go. Tomorrow morning, before you sit up, lie still. Let your eyes adjust to the light. Place your hand gently over your chest or belly. Start the breathing box. Inhale 4 seconds. Hold 4 seconds. Exhale 4 seconds. Hold 4 seconds. Repeat for 5 rounds. Then pause. Name 3 small comforts. Don't overthink it. A warm blanket. A steady roof. The birds. The way your feet still remember the floor. Don't fake the joy. Just notice the real. This is about anchoring, not impressing. You know what surprised me? She told her neighbor, Mr. Lyle, during their usual morning bench chat. I didn't suddenly feel younger. I felt here, like I'd finally arrived in my own skin again. What about you? Have you ever tried starting your morning before you even get up? What would your first 3 gratitudes be tomorrow morning? I'd love to hear them in the comments, because sometimes, sharing a small piece, help someone else find their own. 2. Mirror talk. 1 compliment, 1 intention. Let's rewind just a bit. After Ruth started easing into her mornings with that peaceful breath and gratitude ritual, something odd began to happen. Her body felt steadier, the dread faded, like steam off a mirror. But, and maybe you felt this too, there's a moment right after you feel better physically, when your mind quietly asks, okay, but do I look as different as I feel? So the day came. Ruth stood in front of the bathroom mirror, hair slightly tousled, robes slightly wrinkled, eyes quietly searching. What she saw wasn't bad, it wasn't even sad, it was just unfamiliar. That's when she realized something. She hadn't really looked at herself in years. Hi there, I know you. The first morning Ruth tried this new habit. It wasn't dramatic. She didn't recite a poem or give herself a makeover. She didn't channel Oprah. She just looked herself square in the eyes and said, "You look calm today." That's it. Not beautiful, not perfect, not inspirational, just calm. A truth, something her reflection could believe. Then she added something else, an intention. Let's call Mary after breakfast. Just that, don't overdo it. A compliment, an intention, not for Instagram, not for show, for herself. Let's talk honestly. Women over 70 have walked through a lifetime of changing mirrors, from makeup in high school bathrooms, to hospital mirrors during births, from adjusting hats for church, to watching hair thin after chemo. We've seen ourselves through it all, but somewhere in the busyness, the caregiving, the loss, the survival, we stopped greeting ourselves. This habit isn't about flattery. It's not even about confidence. It's about recognition. It says, I see you, and I'm still here with you. For Ruth, this small practice filled in something she hadn't known was missing. A small moment of acknowledgement, before the world's noise started flooding back in. Here's where science sneaks in with its quiet approval. Studies in cognitive psychology confirm that positive self-talk, especially when spoken aloud, activates the brain's reward and identity centers. But here's what's fascinating. It works best when it's specific and believable. That's why you're stunning might fall flat some mornings, but you look peaceful today lands like a hug. It gives your brain permission to feel safe, and safety creates the foundation for growth, motivation, and emotional resilience. Without needing a motivational quote plastered on the fridge, Ruth placed a tiny sticky note on her mirror. One kind thing, one small aim. She didn't always feel like doing it, especially on gloomy mornings. But she told herself, it's just 1 minute, that's it. Sometimes her compliment was simple, your eyes look rested. Other times it was cheeky, still got that eyebrow arch, and her intentions were never long lists. Just one clear path, sort the letters. Say no to that invitation, water the flowers. Day by day, this habit became a grounding point, a pause before participation. It's not about vanity, it's about validation. Let's clear something up. This practice isn't about trying to recapture youth, it's about standing beside the woman you've become. We all need someone to speak kindly to us, so why not be that someone? This isn't fluffy self-help, this is emotional hygiene. The same way we brush our teeth, we can clean up our inner dialogue, one mirror glance at a time. Ruth didn't feel younger because of what she said. She felt younger because she stopped ignoring herself. Try this tomorrow morning. Step into the bathroom. No makeup, no brushing first, just you. Look in your eyes, not at your wrinkles, not at your hairline, just your eyes. Say one kind thing, not a lie, a truth. You look peaceful, you're here, you're handling it. Set one tiny tone, keep it light. Call Bev. Sit outside after lunch. That's it, no pressure, just presence. If it feels odd at first, good, that means your heart is listening. Funny thing, Ruth said last week, sipping her chamomile. I never realized how quiet my mornings were, until I heard my own voice again. Now I start the day with me, before the chores, before the phone, just me. And isn't that something? We spend our lives being there for others. But this 1 minute moment is about being there for yourself. It doesn't matter if you're 17 or 77. You still deserve to be greeted with kindness, every single day. What would your one compliment be tomorrow morning? What intention would you whisper back to your reflection? Let's fill the comments with beautiful truths. We might just help someone else speak kindly to themselves for the first time in years. 3. Flow stretch. With a favorite song, Ruth didn't need a fitness trainer. She needed a way back into her own body. That realization didn't come from a doctor's warning or a gym flyer shoved through the door. It came on a Tuesday morning when she tried to reach for a coffee mug, and her shoulder made a sound like stepping on twigs. She laughed, but not in the funny way. That's when she remembered something her husband used to say, when the radio played their favorite records from the 60s. Let your joints remember the music. It was one of his quiet sayings. She never thought much of it, until her bones started whispering back. So Ruth created her own version of movement. Not a routine, not a workout. A moment, one song, 5 minutes, your own kind of movement. She picked her track the night before. Sometimes it was Nat King Cole, other times, Norah Jones. Just one song that felt like a breath of something warm. And when it played, she stood in her living room, arms loose, no pressure. She moved in circles, rolled her shoulders, breathed into her hips, swung her arms gently like she was smoothing air around her. Some days she barely moved at all, just shifted her weight side to side, swaying softly with the beat, and that was enough. Why it worked? Because the goal wasn't cardio, the goal was connection. Her body stopped being a stranger. It stopped being a list of aches and became once again a place she could live in without apology. This 5-minute song was her way of saying, I'm still here, and I still move. There's something deeply personal about movement, especially for women who've carried children, groceries, grief, and generations on their backs. Over time, movement can become transactional. Clean the floor, lift the basket, help the neighbor. What Ruth reclaimed wasn't fitness, it was freedom. These stretches brought back moments she didn't know she missed, dancing barefoot at her wedding, twirling her son around in the kitchen, walking to the library without thinking about pace. This habit isn't about becoming flexible, it's about remembering you already were. It's not about feeling young, it's about feeling yours again. Here's what Ruth recommends for beginners. Pick a song the night before. Think comfort, not hype, jazz, soul, oldies, whatever feels familiar. Stand somewhere with space, not to impress, just to breathe. Let your body decide. Maybe it's side stretches, maybe it's rolling your wrists, maybe it's just closing your eyes and swaying. There's no checklist. The only rule, keep it gentle, keep it kind. You're not punishing your body, you're inviting it to wake up with you. Even 5 minutes, consistently done, starts to rewire the way your muscles behave, and the way your heart feels about them. 2 weeks into this habit, Ruth's grandson came over, dragging his Bluetooth speaker behind him. He hit play. The room filled with old-school funk. Without hesitation, Ruth took his hands, and moved, not like she used to, not fast, not wild, but she moved, and her daughter, who had arrived at the door right then, caught the tail end of it, and said something Ruth will never forget. Mom, you're glowing. It wasn't the dance, it was the readiness to move. That's what this habit gave her. Readiness, presence, permission. And now, Ruth doesn't miss a morning, not because she has to, because she wants to, because her joints don't just creak now, they greet her. Have you ever danced in your living room, just for you? What song would be your 5-minute morning track? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what stirs your soul. 4. Puzzle, poetry, or prayer. 5 minutes to reclaim the mind. Let's shift pace again. Ruth's body had started to soften, not in weakness, but in willingness. After just a few weeks of morning breathwork, kind self-talk, and light movement, she felt less foggy and more here. But something was still missing. It wasn't in her legs or her breath or her balance. It was up top. She found herself pausing mid-sentence more often, misplacing her glasses more frequently. And though no one said anything out loud, she could feel the tiny pricks of forgetfulness. Worse than the memory slips was the creeping fear behind them. Is this just what happens now? That's when she made space for a new habit, not for her body, but her mind. It didn't start with a to-do list. It started with a stanza. Ruth didn't start with a brain training app. She started with poetry. One morning, she opened an old anthology that had been collecting dust next to the fireplace. She read one verse. Just one. Then she read it again, aloud this time. The rhythm of the words was like brushing off an old part of herself, sharp, alert, curious. Other mornings, it was a puzzle, a logic teaser from the back of a magazine, a crossword, a single row of Sudoku. Sometimes, she sat with her eyes closed and whispered a line of prayer she knew by heart. That was it. 5 minutes. Focused, gentle, quiet, but electrifying. Mental clarity isn't lost. It's reached for aging doesn't mean your mind disappears. But like any strong muscle, it needs a reason to stretch. And here's the emotional truth most people won't say out loud. It's scary to feel like you're slipping. It's embarrassing to blank out on a name. And it's heartbreaking when your kids start finishing your sentences. But Ruth learned something powerful. Giving your mind attention is different than giving it worry. That 5-minute practice. It became her anchor of confidence. It gave her proof every single morning that she still had sharpness, wit, memory, and magic in her. Pick one. A puzzle, a poem, or a prayer. There's no wrong choice. The only rule is that it must stimulate something inside you. Here's what worked for Ruth. One short activity. A riddle. A word jumble. A number game. Just something that nudges the gears inside. Choose one verse. Let it sit with you. Reread it aloud. Ask yourself what it reminds you of. Or meditation. Or a quote that calms your spirit. It's less about religion, and more about rhythm. Of silence, breath, and clarity. Don't aim for mastery. Aim for engagement. If you feel a spark of interest, you're doing it right. Emotional benefits run deeper than focus. Here's what Ruth didn't expect. This habit didn't just help her recall things more easily. It helped her feel mentally present during conversations, during meals, even during TV shows. She wasn't drifting. She was inhabiting her thoughts again. The emotional payoff. It's hard to describe. But Ruth put it beautifully. I used to feel like I was watching my life happen. Now I feel like I'm in it again. 5 minutes. That's all it took. And the science. It backs her up. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, never stops. But it needs challenge. It needs novelty. It needs joy. Not pressure. Not panic. Just presence. Set a small card or notebook next to your favorite chair. In it, keep 3 options ready. A printed poem, just a short one. You don't need Shakespeare. A puzzle clipped from a newspaper. A prayer, mantra, or quote that helps you breathe slower. In the morning, right after your stretch and before the noise of the day settles, and choose one. Set a timer if you need. 5 minutes. Nothing more. Let your mind play. Let your thoughts stretch. Let your memory roam without anxiety. It's not about proving your sharpness. It's about welcoming it back. One morning, Ruth's grandson asked her if she knew any poems. She did. She recited one, word for word, from a book she loved at his age. He looked at her like she'd just done a magic trick. And in a way, she had. Because she had forgotten how many beautiful things still lived inside her, until she made time to remember. So here's a question for you. If you had to pick one for tomorrow morning, would it be a puzzle, a poem, or a prayer? Drop it in the comments below, and let's inspire each other with the ways we're keeping our minds bright, one small moment at a time. 5. Morning message. A voice that travels further than you think. By now, Ruth's mornings were no longer something she got through. They became something she looked forward to. Her breath came easier. Her joints moved with gentle rhythm. Her mind felt clearer, anchored by those quiet moments of puzzles, prayers, and poetry. But there was one habit still waiting in the wings, one that changed everything, not inward, but outward. It started with a voicemail. Ruth's daughter had left town on a work trip, and Ruth decided to send her a short morning message. Just wanted to say, I love you. Hope today feels kind. She didn't expect much, but hours later her phone buzzed with a reply. Mom, I really needed that. You made my morning. Connection isn't age dependent. It's effort dependent. That tiny message sparked something. The next morning, Ruth sent a voice note to her neighbor. Sunlight's pouring through the kitchen. Thought you'd like to know. Feels like a marmalade morning. Then a postcard to her childhood friend. Still stretching to old jazz. Still thinking of you when I do. Miss our dancing days. It became her fifth habit. 5 minutes of morning outreach. Not obligation, offering. This wasn't about staying social in the way tech tells us to. It wasn't about likes or scrolling or performance. This was about touching someone else's day, with the warmth of your own. And for Ruth, it became the final piece in the puzzle. There's a special kind of joy that only comes from initiating love, not waiting for the phone to ring, not wondering who remembers you, but deciding to remember someone else. For older women especially, where so much energy has gone into caring for others, there's often a silent ache when that role shifts, or disappears entirely. But this habit, it brings that purpose back, without pressure. It doesn't demand planning, it just asks for sincerity. And the payoff, it's deep, because when Ruth started sending these little messages, people started sending them back. She wasn't just reaching out, she was receiving. Let's make this habit real and reachable. Here are 3 ways you can build your own morning message ritual. Use your phone. Open the recorder. Say something simple. No script. Just your voice. Thinking of you. Hope today holds something small and lovely. Jot a few lines to a grandchild, a sibling, or an old friend. You don't need to wait for a holiday. A Tuesday morning will do. Write something kind, and place it somewhere surprising. On the mirror for yourself, or on the coffee machine for a partner. This isn't about grand declarations. It's about gentle proof that we still have things to give, and people who feel it. Ruth didn't expect her messages to ripple, but they did. Her grandson now sends her 1 voice note a week. Her neighbor leaves fresh flowers at her door some Sundays. Her friends started doing the same with their families. Because small gestures invite safe connection, they remind people they matter, without fanfare. And for Ruth, that's what made her mornings, not just peaceful, but purposeful. Of all the changes I've made, she told me once, this is the one that made me feel 20 years younger. Not the stretches, not the puzzles. It's sending that first spark of kindness into the world, before the world even asks. She smiled when she said that. One of those smiles that comes from the chest, not the face. Because when we wake up and give, even a whisper of warmth, we don't age, we arrive. If you could send just 1 message tomorrow morning to a friend, a family member, even to yourself, what would it say? Type it in the comments. Let it live there. You never know who it might reach. Who knew 5 little minutes could kick aging in the shins? Ruth didn't join a gym, shave her head, or move to Bali. She just changed her mornings. And now her days feel brand new. So pick 1 habit, start tomorrow, then come back and brag in the comments. We'll be cheering.